Part 1. You will hear a student telephoning a language center to ask about English courses and registration details. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good morning, Cambridge Language Center. This is Miss Taylor speaking. How can I help you?
Hello, my name is Ravi Kumar. Shall I spell that?
Yes, please.
R-A-V-I and the surname K-U-M-A-R. I'm calling because I want to register for an English evening course.
Certainly, Ravi. We have several options. Before we decide, may I ask, what level do you think you are at?
Well, I studied English a bit at school, and I've also used it at work occasionally. I can manage simple conversations, but when people speak quickly, I get lost. I'd say I'm not a beginner, but I'm definitely not advanced either.
That sounds like our lower intermediate class would suit you best. It's designed for students who can already manage the basics, but want to build confidence in real-life situations. The emphasis is on speaking and listening, though you'll also do some grammar and writing.
Okay, that sounds good. Could you tell me the timetable?
Certainly. Classes are held once a week, every Thursday evening from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. We keep the groups fairly small, about 12 students, so there's plenty of interaction.
Oh, evening is perfect, because I work full-time during the day. How long does the course last altogether?
It runs for 12 weeks. That works out to 48 hours of teaching. The new term begins next Monday.
Great.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
And what's the fee?
The full course fee is £240, but if you register and pay before Friday, you'll get a 10% discount, so it comes down to £216.
That's reasonable. Do I need to bring anything with me to the first class?
Just a notebook. The course book, handouts, and pencils will be provided. If you prefer, you can bring a dictionary, but that's optional.
All right. And how do I actually register? Online or in person?
Either works, but many students prefer to come in person. If you do, don't forget to bring a passport photo. We need it for your student ID card, which also gives you access to the library.
Okay. And is there a placement test?
Yes, there's a short written test followed by a short interview with the teacher. It takes about 20 minutes and helps us make sure you're in the right group.
Makes sense. What if I miss a class because of work?
Don't worry. We record all lessons and share the videos online. That way, you can review the material anytime.
Excellent. And is there parking at the center?
Yes, but spaces are limited. We usually suggest public transport. The nearest bus stop is just 2 minutes away.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 1.
Dictionary, but that's optional.
All right. And how do I actually register? Online or in person?
Either works, but many students prefer to come in person. If you do, don't forget to bring a passport photo. We need it for your student ID card, which also gives you access to the library.
Okay. And is there a placement test?
Yes, there's a short written test followed by a short interview with the teacher. It takes about 20 minutes and helps us make sure you're in the right group.
Makes sense. What if I miss a class because of work?
Don't worry. We record all lessons and share the videos online. That way, you can review the material anytime.
Excellent. And is there parking at the center?
Yes, but spaces are limited. We usually suggest public transport. The nearest bus stop is just 2 minutes away.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 1. Part 2. You will hear information about an environmental program focused on cleaning coastlines and reducing marine pollution. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the induction session for our Coastal Cleanup Program. I'm delighted to see so many of you here, and I'll start by explaining a few essentials before we head out for our first activity. First, let's talk about why we run this program. Many people assume that litter on beaches comes mainly from visitors leaving rubbish behind. But in fact, that's only part of the story. A significant proportion is washed ashore by tides after being discarded at sea, particularly plastics. So our project isn't only about tidying the sand, it's about addressing a much larger environmental issue. Now, regarding what you'll need, you might expect to bring your own gloves, but don't worry, we supply those. What you do need to bring, however, is durable footwear, ideally waterproof boots, because the terrain can be uneven and sometimes wet. Another thing people often ask about is refreshments. We provide drinking water, but not meals. Please bring a packed lunch because the sessions often last well into the afternoon and there are no shops nearby. Some of you may be concerned about safety. That's natural. We do carry out risk assessments, and first aid kits are available at every site. But the most important rule is to avoid picking up sharp objects, such as broken glass or rusted metal. Just mark the spot and alert a team leader. Before I move on, let me emphasize punctuality. Each cleanup begins at 9 a.m. sharp. Arriving late delays the whole group, so please be ready at least 15 minutes beforehand.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Now I'll outline some features of the program. First is community involvement. Local residents often join us, and their knowledge of the area helps us identify problem spots. Next, educational outreach. We run short talks in schools teaching children about marine pollution and how to reduce it. We also focus on data collection. Every item you pick up is logged, what it is, and roughly where it was found. This information is sent to national databases which influence government policies. Another feature is partnerships. We collaborate with wildlife charities, since discarded fishing gear can trap seabirds and seals. Working together allows us to tackle problems beyond litter alone. Finally, we encourage volunteer development. That means giving you the chance to take on leadership roles, such as coordinating teams or guiding new members. It's not just about cleaning beaches, it's about building skills and confidence. That concludes the overview. In a moment, I'll give you details about our first cleanup location and transport arrangements.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 2. Part 3. You will hear two students discussing improvements to their group presentation on renewable energy research findings. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. And answer questions 21 to 25.
I've gone through our slides again, and I think the introduction still feels too generic. You've got facts about global energy demand, but you never highlight the central issue. It's like reading a textbook, not an opening to grab attention.
So instead of numbers, maybe I should pose a direct question. Something like, can we really power entire countries without fossil fuels? That way the audience is drawn in immediately.
Exactly. A question works better. And don't forget, we need to define renewable transition. Otherwise, people might assume we're only talking about solar panels, while in fact, we're including wind, hydro, and even emerging options like tidal power.
Good point. I'll clarify that early. Now, for the methodology slide, you suggested using survey data, right?
Yes, but remember the weakness of surveys. People tend to tick boxes without reflecting deeply. For example, someone may agree that renewable energy is important, but still oppose building a wind farm near their home. That contradiction needs mentioning.
Right. I'll note that limitation. Oh, but I'm worried. Our data only came from 3 regions. Isn't that too narrow?
It is a bit limited, but don't hide it. Better to be transparent about scope. Otherwise, examiners may think we overlooked it.
Okay, I'll add that disclaimer. And about interviews, should we insert the full transcripts in the appendix?
Definitely not. Nobody wants pages of raw dialogue. Instead, just pick a few short quotes that illustrate local perspectives. That keeps it readable.
Got it.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Now, about visuals. I've designed 10 graphs showing energy mix projections.
10 is way too many. A handful of clear diagrams works better. Otherwise, the audience will drown in charts.
Fair enough. What about structuring our policy review? Chronological order from 1990 onwards? Or grouped by theme?
Thematic grouping is smarter. For example, subsidies, infrastructure, and regulation. It avoids jumping back and forth in time.
That makes sense. And for the conclusion, I was planning to end with a list of our key findings.
A plain list sounds dull. Examiners want arguments presented in the essay. Emphasize what makes our research distinctive. Maybe highlight how community-level initiatives differ from national policies.
Yes, I like that. Now, one last issue. I cited a couple of blogs and opinion pieces online. Should I keep them?
Better not. Blogs lack academic credibility. Replace them with online journals. Otherwise, our reference list won't look professional.
Okay, I'll revise that. Do you think, with all these fixes, the chapter will stand up to scrutiny?
More than that, if we implement these changes, the presentation will sound coherent and convincing.
That's reassuring. I was afraid the panel might find my arguments a bit fragmented.
Not at all. Your material is strong. What you need is polish, not a total rethink. Once you've reorganized your sections and refined the evidence, your delivery will also come across with much more confidence.
That is the end of Part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 3. Part 4. You will hear a lecture about basil seeds and their nutritional benefits. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 35. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 35.
Today's lecture will focus on an ingredient that's been gaining popularity in both health and culinary circles: basil seeds. You might know them as sabja seeds in India or tukmaria in the Middle East. Although they've been used for centuries, only recently have they become widely recognized outside Asia for their nutritional and medicinal potential. Let's begin with their physical properties. Basil seeds are tiny, black, and resemble sesame seeds. When soaked in water, they expand and form a gelatinous outer layer within minutes. This transformation makes them valuable in both drinks and desserts, especially in hot climates where people use them to cool the body. But it's not merely texture. They are packed with soluble fiber, which slows digestion and can contribute to a longer feeling of fullness. Now, what about nutrients? Basil seeds are surprisingly rich in minerals like calcium, magnesium, and iron. They also contain plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, specifically alpha-linolenic acid. This is significant because many vegetarian diets lack omega-3 sources, and basil seeds can help fill that gap. Some people compare them to chia seeds, and while both have similar health profiles, basil seeds tend to swell more quickly and have a milder flavor. Historically, basil seeds were not just consumed for nutrition, but also for traditional remedies. In Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine, they were used to ease digestion, soothe respiratory conditions, and even reduce inflammation. However, scientific validation of these claims has been uneven. While studies support their digestive benefits, other supposed medicinal uses remain less substantiated. In India, basil seeds are common in sweet beverages like faluda, while in Thailand they appear in iced drinks and desserts. Their ability to add bulk without altering flavor makes them versatile in smoothies, yogurts, and even baked goods. But there's a catch. They must always be soaked before use. If consumed dry, they can cause choking hazards because of rapid expansion in the throat.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 36 to 40.
I think my angst about leaving the military was maybe not being able to find employment. UK raised defence spending for a rural area like this. It's absolutely brilliant to see that.
Now listen and answer questions 36 to 40.
Another interesting aspect is their role in weight management. Due to their fiber content, basil seeds may suppress appetite. Yet nutritionists warn against seeing them as a miracle food. Without a balanced diet and exercise, their effect is limited. Storage and preparation also matter. They should be kept in airtight containers away from moisture, otherwise they clump together and lose quality. And when preparing them, avoid hot water. Lukewarm or cold is better for proper swelling. Now on to commercial interest. Food industries have begun incorporating basil seeds into energy drinks, health bars, and packaged puddings. Their marketing often highlights detoxification and weight loss claims, though regulators caution against exaggerated promises. Finally, sustainability is another dimension worth noting. When compared to crops such as almonds or chia, basil is easier to cultivate and uses a smaller amount of water. This makes basil seeds not just a health food, but also an environmentally friendly option. And don't forget, while they've become trendy in the West only recently, for numerous communities, they've always been a part of everyday diet and tradition. That wraps up today's session on basil seeds.
That is the end of part 4.